This is TWiT.
Just thought I'd bring up the topic that we so love to talk about on this show, YouTube Music, because I've been using it a lot lately, and primarily, okay, I felt on my trip to Oregon. We were the second half of our trip, we were going to this campground, about 3.5 hours south of Bend, Oregon. And I had a really good feeling that there was going to be no internet connectivity there. And we have this little Bose speaker, and I was like, I just want to download a bunch of music because I know we're going to want to listen to music when we're by the water and at the campground and everything. But I don't want to spend all my time like manicuring it and like picking out albums and everything. So I went into YouTube Music and went into the liked playlist, which apparently pulled all of my liked information from Google Play Music over to YouTube, and set that playlist to download. And it was something like 600 and some odd songs. So I was like, okay, that's plenty. Like I would never listen to 600 songs on this trip probably. And I'm really curious to find what I heard there. And it was just one of those moments where I realized, like, wait a minute, people probably do this all the time. They're so good at liking their music. Like when they hear something, they like it, and then they set their liked playlist to always be offline. That's a pretty great way to have like music I always want to listen to there because it's the music that I like. I don't know. It was just one of those moments where I felt really out of step because I know I'm not the only person to have ever thought of it, but it was the first time that it occurred to me to do that. And so ever since then, I thought that was so cool because I started listening to, in listening to that playlist, I was like reintroduced to all these songs I'd forgotten about that years ago I had liked. And I was like, oh yeah, I do like that song a lot. Where's that song been for the past like 5 years? And so I got really into listening to that playlist because I was like, man, this is like, I'm rediscovering all this music that over the last 5 or 10 years I was really into and I took the time to like, but I completely forgot that I did it. And so now ever since then, I've been going through all of my uploaded library, all of the albums that on Google Play Music I had added to my library, like their albums through the subscription, but that I added to my library. I've been going through and kind of having just a really great time rediscovering music in my catalog. Maybe this has less to do with YouTube Music, more just to do about music in general, but it's been a really cool experience to go through and be like, oh man, Beck has some really awesome albums. I totally forgot about that. I'm going to listen to this, and like rediscover some of this stuff. And in the process, I'm going through and liking more things to build up that liked playlist. And I don't know, I just thought it was a neat kind of journey, and I guess that's a thumbs up. I like that part of YouTube Music, but yeah.
Interesting. Well, let me can I give you a thumbs down for YouTube Music?
Yes, counterbalance.
For some reason, I don't know about you, but I mean, like the majority of YouTube Music I listen to is via the Google Home.
Yeah.
And it is a distinct and complete different experience than using the web app or using the mobile phone app for some reason, directly in tune with what Google decides to play and what it thinks I want to hear.
Yeah.
So case in point, I was listening to a song by a band called Quicksand, which is one of my favorite bands. They're a post-hardcore band. They have a new album coming out on Epitaph. Like they're, like it's great. I have all their albums. I have all this stuff. I listen to them a lot. Right. And so I said, great, play Shovel by Quicksand. And so I was doing the dishes. I was listening to that song. And then the next song was a Frank Sinatra song. Okay.
Wow. What night and day difference, right?
And the next song was a Louis Prima and Ella Fitzgerald song. And then the next song was a song from Frozen. And then the next song was and it was literally like, it was almost as if like on TV or in the movies when the robots like malfunction idea, like just throwing out like whatever. Yeah, it was just like, I was just like, what is going on? And I'm finding its ability to pick up the genre I'm listening to based off the song I'm listening to is really for some reason affected. Yeah. And I don't know if it's the YouTube Music app on the Google Home, because my thought is that the YouTube Music just would pull the mobile app or pull the service and just feed that to the Google Home. But I think there's a different thing going on that device. So
the first song that you played, was that in your library?
Yes.
And so maybe what it's thinking,
not on YouTube Music.
And it's not on you. So maybe in that regard, Well, no, like you probably don't have Frozen in your own library, right?
Yeah, no, I don't. I do not.
So maybe at the end of that, it's like instead of it playing more of that genre, it's just playing more like of what you have listened to in the past.
Pick up the genre from the ID3 tag in my library.
That would be amazing.
Like,
but that would make sense.
Like, wouldn't it be able to do? It sees in the metadata that it's the same artist as Quicksand, who it has. In its system, it has 5,000 subscribers.
That's so wildly different to go from that to Sinatra to Frozen, and like who really wants that widespread? I mean, no one's looking to mix death metal with Disney soundtrack.
No, and
not that they are, but that would happen.
I understand that I'm confusing it because I have kids listening to Frozen all the time, but like it's Google, it's YouTube. It should be smart enough to know that when I'm listening to hardcore, that I don't want to listen to Frozen next, that I don't want to listen to, Peter Pan next. Like it should be able to be smart enough to realize that it's me and not my kid. Like this is the problem with it. This is all mashed in, and don't even get me started on, despite having every setting to not play music videos, it continues to play music videos.
I haven't had that problem. It keeps my music videos off, thankfully. Yeah. But do you feel like Google Play Music did that? Like that same scenario would have done it right? And what is right?
Yes. What is right is playing the appropriate genre or similar.
It would have stuck to the genre.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It would have stuck to the genre. It would have stuck to the universe of bands. Like almost imagine like there's like a mind map, and like this band is related to this band is related to this band.
Totally. They should have that. Yeah, absolutely.
And I felt like Google Play Music understood that and did a good job with it, more so than YouTube Music.
Yeah. One thing that's been irritating me in this whole liking discovery that I've been doing lately is the fact that is just an indication of how separated uploads are from the library. But like we already know that. YouTube made no qualms about the fact that like, oh, we're not integrating your upload library with our thing. They're kept in separate silos and they're completely different. Where that sucks though is as I've been liking things, I realize like, oh, I have this album by Radiohead, let's say, and I'm in my uploads and I thumbs up a few songs. And then if I happen to search for Radiohead and find that album in the library, those likes are not translated. So that like exists over in my uploads, but it doesn't exist in the library, or sorry, in the streaming services version of that album. So if I then thumb it up there, it appears in the likes playlist twice. And isn't that, and just silly things like that. Like, would it really be that hard? I mean, I'm not a developer, so maybe it is that hard, but that seems, I don't know. This sucks.
It just sucks, and that's the thing. And I don't know. I'm just frustrated by it. But the thing is, I tell it to play, Beauty and the Beast, and it plays all Disney songs for my kids. So or play, or 10 in the Bed, Roll Over, and it plays all the so like it doesn't all of a sudden start playing hardcore during the kids' music. So I guess I'd rather have Disney music pop up while I'm listening to my music than my music pop up when they're listening to their music.
Yeah. Totally right. Oh, almost asleep. You don't want that. And don't even get me started on the fact that YouTube Music is only for 13 and up. Like I can't even set it up with voice match for my kids. The second it knows that it's family link and that it's my kids, then it says you are not allowed to play. So if they're going to their Google Home trying to play something and I have voice match set up the way I used to be able to do with Google Play Music, so that they could only get music that was kid appropriate and not adult, adult themes or words or whatever. Like you could do it before, you can't do it now. So I have to leave it totally open, which means they hear a lot of things. At this point, we're beyond the point of like policing it. We're like, okay, just know that this is like a song that you listen to here and you don't talk about with your friends, because at least I have no alternative. Like, I'm sorry.
At least your kids are of that age. Mine are 2.5. And I will say literally just this morning, well, first off, just even before that, for the past couple of months, they'll want to hear a song. And my daughter will say, play, Let It Go on the Google. And so like point towards it, like on the Google. But this morning we put on a song from Moana for my son because he wanted to hear it. And my daughter just walked up to, I have the Google Home Mini in our bedroom, and she just walked right up to it and went, Oh, I'm sorry, I did it. I'm sorry, but that was apologies to everyone who I just triggered. But sorry, but my daughter just walked up and said, "Okay, G," to the device, and was like cracking up because we're like, "How does she know how to do that?" Because she hears us doing it.
Yeah,
so it's
totally.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of time.
The kids pick up on it. Yeah, they're right there.
Yeah,
they're going to start throwing commands at that thing. At the point that they can ask Google to tell them a story, that's pretty awesome.
Yep.
If they're figuring it out, teach them that. That'll blow their minds.